Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel for some more Witcher content. With the second season in production, I thought it might be fun to do some Season 1 specific content to go along with a rewatch of the show. So, I thought of this new series, One Meaningful Change, where I will highlight one specific change the show has made per episode, analyze the meaning behind the change, what impact it has on the adaptation as a whole. I decided before doing my research that I'd like to alternate between Geralt storylines for one episode, and either a Ciri or Yennefer storyline for the next. This kind of worked out for this week, since both the short story that Geralt's storyline was based on and its Netflix adaptation aren't super memorable to me. There definitely are changes to talk about in his story, particularly regarding Elven history, gods, and devils, so let me know what other topic would have been a good candidate from this show's adaptation of The Edge of the World. Maybe I'll discuss it in a future video. That left two other character stories to look at, Ciri and Yennefer. Much like Geralt's storyline, I didn't find Ciri's experiences in the refugee camp to be all that engaging. They didn't tell me much about who she is, or develop her in a super meaningful way. No, episode 2 is the Yennefer show, which is appropriate since it's her debut and origin story. The episode's title of 4 marks is even a reference to the price Yennefer's father was willing to sell her for. The problem this presents to me is that Yennefer's origin story is more hinted at and referenced than fully explored in the books, meaning that directly comparing the show and the book versions is a little bit difficult. But there's one thematic idea that the show uses that paints Yennefer in a light we haven't really seen in other media, and I'd like to explore what that tells us about her in this version of the story. But let's cut to the chase. You've seen the video title. I'm talking about flowers. Throughout the episode, we're shown that Yennefer is frequently associated with flowers, always at important times in her story. Let's take a look at each time this happens and discuss. The very first time we see Yennefer, she's gotten her hands on some daisies after a girl throws them away for being cheap. But when the girl spots Yennefer with the daisies, the girl takes them back, complains that they smell of pig shit, then she and her boyfriend attack and insult Yennefer for her deformities. Daisies are a common cheap flower that most people take for granted, but Yennefer still desires them, mirroring her desire for a normal life. Yet her desire for normality is scorned and rejected, as if her being normal would ruin the idea of what it is to be normal. It's a devastating idea to put into any young person's head, let alone a woman with physical disabilities. On top of that, it's emphasized that Yennefer was watching the couple kissing because no one would kiss her, meaning that beyond a normal life, Yennefer desires a normal love, and that the daisies represent that as well. But it's at this low point in her life that we see her use magic for the first time. Emotionally overwhelmed and scared for her life, Yennefer accidentally teleports away and meets Istrid in the Tower of the Gull in Aretuza. Istrid reveals where she is, tells her that she got there through a portal. Seeing that she's still confused by this, he remarks that she's a virgin. It's unclear whether he actually means a sexual virgin or a magical virgin or both, but we know which way Yennefer takes it based on the backhand slap she gives him for this remark. Before she can get any answers, Istrid eats a strange-looking flower from his pouch and opens up another portal. He tells her that this portal is untrackable and that she can go home through it, but the portal she created was trackable and has put a target on her back. Yennefer gets Istrid's name, but leaves before giving him hers. The scene basically sets up that there are more extraordinary flowers than daisies out there in the world, and that they symbolize a world that Yennefer doesn't understand, but may be connected to somehow. Istrid bringing up her virginity also reinforces the theme of flowers also representing love, and ties it to Yennefer's sexuality. Pairing flowers and sexuality, particularly a young woman's sexuality, is not exactly groundbreaking, but the show does keep playing with this idea and evolving it going forward. As we know, Yennefer is tracked down, purchased from her father, and brought to Aretuza to learn to use her abilities. This doesn't start off very well, with Yennefer attempting to commit suicide. Tissaia saves her life, but scolds her for losing control, and instructs her to come to the greenhouse. This is Yennefer's first group class with Tissaia, and it serves to demonstrate two things. One, Yennefer doesn't have the same control over her abilities as her peers yet, and two, that using magic has a price. In order to cast even a simple levitation spell, the girls have to drain the life out of a flower, or else they themselves are drained to power the spell. Coincidentally, the flower used for this purpose is the daisy. Yennefer can't do it though, no matter how hard she tries. She even tries eating one of the flowers like she saw Istrid do earlier. Tissaia tells her, "Sometimes a flower is just a flower, and the best thing it can do for us is die." This seems like a horrendously bad lesson to teach to someone who just tried to kill herself, which begs the question of whether there's a deeper meaning to Tissaia's lesson. To me, what this actually symbolizes is the girls learning to let go of their ordinary lives. And it's no surprise that Yennefer isn't able to do so. How can she let go of something she's always desired, but never had for herself? Yennefer is reunited with Istrid after this lesson, and seeing him again seems to give her enough hope to continue on. As time goes on, their relationship continues to bloom, but Yennefer's lessons continue to go poorly. She shows little natural skill at magic, lies to Tissaia, and loses control of her emotions at inopportune times. Tissaia is hard on her for this, but reveals she also has trouble controlling her emotions. We see the normally hard and cruel face of Tissaia with tears in her eyes when she asks Yennefer if she actually has what it takes. The next time Yennefer sees Istrid, she tells him that this will be the last time they see each other, since she's going to be sent home. But he protests and says that they will find a way. Yennefer asks if he means by using one of his special portals, but he says he can't show her how to use that magic because he doesn't want the knowledge of it to reach the Brotherhood of Sorcerers. He then explains that Aretuza was actually built by Elven sorcerers, not humans, and that the magic behind the portals is old Elven magic. He says that humans and monsters arrived on the continent during the conjunction of the spheres, a very important magical event, and that the elves who originally lived there taught those humans how to use magic. The humans then slaughtered the elves and rewrote history to erase the contribution of the elves. Seeing that Yennefer understands, Istrid then produces another one of those strange flowers he used to make the last portal. He tells her that the flower is called Feignwed, and only grows in places where elder blood has been spilled, that it helps with creating the portal. After Istrid tells her the incantation, Yennefer opens the portal easily, eating only a tiny piece of the flower to do so. She tells Istrid that her father was a half-elf, and that his blood is the reason she was born with her twisted spine, why she was only worth 4 marks, and why no one can ever love her, right before the two of them share a kiss. This scene seems to give us the last piece of the puzzle for a few of our themes and storylines. Yennefer struggles with controlling her human life, her human emotions, and her human magic, because her gifts actually come from her elven side. She hardly even needs the help of the elven flower to conjure a portal in a way that most of the Brotherhood doesn't even know how to do. Her differences from the rest of humanity are both her strengths and her weaknesses. And only Tissaia and Istrid were able to see this before, even if they didn't know exactly why. Yennefer could never be a Daisy, because she was a Feignwed. But we're not done with the flowers yet. In the very next scene, the story adds another layer, when we find out that Yennefer has delivered the Feignwed to Tissaia as part of a test. Tissaia actually sent Yennefer to Istrid to see if Yennefer could control her emotions well enough to get the flower from him. This serves to connect the themes of flowers and sexuality again, but with a twist, since Yen used her emotional power over Istrid to get something out of him that she needed. Yennefer may not be conventionally attractive, but that doesn't mean that she's powerless or unable to use her unconventional sexuality to her advantage too. Before you feel too sorry for Istrid though, he was also doing the bidding of the Brotherhood, and informs Stregobor that Yennefer is part elf. Since she passed Tissaia's test, Yennefer asks if she's ready to ascend. Tissaia merely replies that she should listen for the knocks. That night, 3 of the girls are summoned by knocks, but Yennefer is passed by. Instead of going back to sleep, Yennefer grabs some Feignwed. We don't actually see her use it, but it is implied that she does in order to create a portal to follow Tissaia and the other girls. This use of the flower shows us that Yennefer's confidence in her abilities wasn't a one-off, and wasn't because she was with Istrid and oh so in love, but it's something that she developed when she learned more about that hidden part of herself. As Yennefer watches from the shadows, Tissaia turns the three girls into eels and then calls on Yennefer to come forward and push the eels into the pool below. She explains that the girls were full of power and will now act as a source of power for Aretuza, saying, "Sometimes the best thing a flower can do for us is die." This harkens back to when she said that same line to Yennefer at her first lesson, but it seems to be flipped on its head. The girls who once seemed so much more capable and desirable in their conformity, like the Daisies, are now nothing more than a resource for the likes of Yennefer and Tissaia, who are actually extraordinary, like the Feignwed. But what do you think? Did you notice all the callouts to flowers on your first watch? Do you agree with my take on them? Did you catch anything that I missed? Or was there another topic I should have looked at for this episode? Let's continue the discussion down in the comments. If you liked the video, drop a like and subscribe to A Storm of Stories for the rest of The Witcher's One Meaningful Change series, and more. Thanks, and I hope to see you for the next one.